Kate Wilson stood on the porch of her family's old home, watching the sun set over the Arizona desert. The orange glow painted the sand and rocks with fire. After 5 years fighting in space, the quiet felt strange to her ears. "Earth is safe now," she whispered to herself, trying to believe it. 3 weeks had passed since the Earth Defense Force had pushed back the drifters. These aliens had attacked human colonies across 3 star systems, but Earth's military had finally won. Or so everyone thought. Kate ran her hand through her short brown hair, still not used to desert heat after years in the cold of spaceships. Her uniform felt too tight now that she was home, but she couldn't bring herself to take it off yet. The patches and medals told the story of battles won and friends lost. Inside the old house, Kate's computer beeped. The military had let her keep some basic equipment to monitor the area. Most soldiers didn't get to bring such things home, but Kate had earned special trust as Major Wilson, hero of the Battle of Europa. The screen showed strange energy readings at the edge of her property, about 2 miles into the desert. Kate frowned and tapped the screen. "Must be broken," she muttered. The readings looked like nothing she had seen before, not even from drifter ships. Kate made a note to check the equipment tomorrow. Tonight, she would try to sleep without nightmares for once. As darkness fell, Kate sat on her porch with a cup of coffee, looking at the stars. She knew each one by name now, could point to the systems where she had fought. The desert wind blew sand against her boots, a gentle sound that almost let her relax. Then she noticed something wrong with the sky. Where the constellation Orion should be, there was nothing. Just a black patch, as if something huge floated above the earth, blocking the stars. Kate's coffee cup fell from her hand and broke on the wooden porch. She ran inside to her equipment, heart pounding. The energy readings had grown stronger. Whatever was out there wasn't just at the edge of her property now. It was spreading. She tried to call her old commander, General Reed. The line was dead. She tried another call, and another. Nothing worked. "This can't be happening," Kate said, her voice shaking. "The war is over. We won." Kate grabbed her old pistol from its locked box and strapped it to her hip. She pulled on her jacket and filled a backpack with water, food, and basic supplies. Years of military training had taught her to be ready for anything. Outside, the desert had grown strangely quiet. No insects chirping, no night birds calling. Just silence and the wind. Kate took her binoculars and scanned the horizon. At first, she saw nothing unusual in the moonlight. Then, at the edge of her vision, something moved. Something that didn't belong in the Arizona desert. A light, blue and pulsing, hovered just above the ground about a mile away. It moved slowly, as if searching for something, or someone. "They found me," Kate whispered, though she didn't know who they were. Not drifters. This was different technology. As if in answer to her thoughts, more lights appeared across the desert. 5, then 10, then too many to count. The desert floor looked like a strange ocean of blue stars. Kate's military radio, which had been silent for weeks, suddenly crackled to life. But instead of human voices, it produced sounds no human could make, clicks and high-pitched tones that made her head hurt. The stars above continued to vanish, section by section, as if being eaten by the darkness. Kate Wilson, who had believed Earth was safe, now understood the horrible truth. The war wasn't over. It had just reached her doorstep. The desert floor shook as something tore through the night sky. Kate watched from behind a large rock as a small ship, no bigger than a car, crashed about half a mile from her home. The impact sent sand and rock flying in all directions. For a moment, everything was quiet again. The blue lights that had filled the desert seemed to pause their movement. Then, as if given a new order, they all began moving toward the crash site. "Not good," Kate whispered to herself. She checked her pistol and started moving closer to the crash, staying low and using the desert rocks for cover. Years of combat had taught her how to move silently. The ship didn't look like drifter technology. It was sleeker, with a dark metal hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Smoke rose from a large crack in its side. As Kate moved closer, she saw the blue lights were some kind of drones. They floated about 3 feet off the ground, scanning everything with thin beams of light. She froze behind a rock as one passed just feet away from her. A sound came from the crashed ship, a hatch opening. Kate held her breath and watched as a figure stumbled out and fell to the sand. It didn't move like a drifter. It was tall and thin, with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. The being tried to stand but fell again. It was hurt. Dark liquid dripped onto the sand beneath it. The nearest drone spotted the alien and made a high-pitched sound. All the other drones began moving faster toward the ship. Without thinking, Kate made a decision. She fired 3 shots at the closest drone. It exploded in a shower of blue sparks. The other drones stopped moving for a second, as if confused. Kate ran from her hiding place to the wounded alien. Up close, she could see its face had no mouth, just large eyes that glowed a soft green. It backed away from her in fear. "I'm not going to hurt you," Kate said, though she knew it probably couldn't understand her. "But those things will." The alien's skin flashed with patterns of light. Kate realized it was trying to communicate. "No time," she said, grabbing one of its 4 arms. "We need to move before more come." The drones had recovered from their confusion and were closing in. Kate pulled the alien toward a narrow canyon nearby where the drones would have trouble following. The alien was surprisingly light. It let Kate guide it, limping on what looked like an injured leg. They reached the canyon just as the drones began firing energy bolts that burned the sand where they had been standing seconds before. Inside the canyon, Kate found a small cave and pulled the alien inside. They sat in silence, listening to the drones searching outside. The alien's skin glowed with soft light, illuminating the cave. It reached into a pocket in what Kate now realized was some kind of uniform and pulled out a small device. It touched the device to its neck. "Thank you for saving me," said a mechanical voice from the device. "They would have killed me." Kate stared in shock. "You speak English." "This translator learns any language it hears," the mechanical voice said. "I am Vex. I am not your enemy." "Those drones," Kate said, pointing outside. "They're not drifters, are they?" "No," Vex replied. "They belong to the Harbingers. The drifters are just their soldiers. The war you thought you won was merely the first wave." Kate felt cold despite the desert heat. "What do they want?" Vex's skin darkened to a deep blue. "To test humanity. My people refused their test. They destroyed our world." "Test us how?" Kate asked, though she feared the answer. "They transform worlds to see if the native species can adapt," Vex said. "They are already beginning here, changing your desert. Those who survive may join them. Those who fail." Vex didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Outside, the desert was silent again, but Kate knew now it wasn't peace. It was the calm before the real war began. Morning light crept into the cave, waking Kate. For a moment, she thought she was back on her ship, until she saw Vex sitting at the cave entrance, his skin now a sandy brown that matched the rocks. "The drones have moved on," Vex said when he noticed Kate was awake. "But they will return." Kate checked her pistol and water supply. "We need to get to the nearest military base. It's about 50 miles north. They'll have communications equipment that still works." Vex's skin rippled with doubt. "The Harbingers will have blocked all paths out of the testing zone." "Testing zone?" Kate asked. "They create a circle around the area they wish to test," Vex explained. "Nothing gets in or out until the test is complete. Your desert has been chosen as the first zone on your planet." Kate didn't want to believe it, but she had seen enough in the war to know Vex was probably right. Still, they had to try. They left the cave carefully, watching the sky for drones. Kate led the way back to her house to gather more supplies. The desert already felt different. The air was hotter, drier than normal, and strange crystal formations had begun growing from the sand overnight. "They're changing it already," Vex said, touching one of the crystals, making it more like their homeworld. Kate's house looked untouched. She quickly packed a bigger bag with food, water, first aid supplies, and ammunition. She found her old military truck in the garage and hoped it still worked. "This will get us to the base faster," she told Vex as the engine roared to life. They drove north on the empty desert road. Kate kept checking her mirrors for drones, but so far the sky remained clear. After about 10 miles, Vex suddenly told her to stop. "Look," he said, pointing ahead. The road seemed to end in a wall of shimmering air. It was like looking at the world through water. "Energy barrier," Vex said, just as I feared. Kate turned the truck around and tried another road heading east. After 8 miles, they found another barrier. The same happened when they tried south and west. "We're trapped in a circle about 20 miles wide," Kate said, marking a map with the barrier points. "Centered on my house." "Why?" Vex's skin turned a deep purple. "The Harbingers don't choose testing sites randomly. They pick places where they believe the strongest specimens live." Kate stared at him. "They picked me because I fought in the war." "Yes, they study their enemies before attacking. They know which humans fought best against the drifters." Kate drove back to her house in silence, trying to process this information. The sun beat down harder than she had ever felt before, and the truck's temperature gauge was climbing into the red. "Why test us at all?" she finally asked as they reached her home. "Why not just destroy Earth if they're so powerful?" "The Harbingers don't want to destroy all life," Vex explained as they went inside. "They want servants, soldiers, species that can survive harsh conditions and still fight." Kate looked out her window at the desert. Already the cacti were wilting in the increased heat, and the ground was cracking. "How long does the test last?" she asked. "Until enough die that they can determine who the strongest are," Vex said. "Or until someone proves intelligent enough to stop the test." Kate turned to face him. "Can it be stopped?" "I've never seen it done," Vex admitted. "But my people never had someone who understood warfare as you do." Kate thought about all the battles she had fought in space, all the strategies she had used against the drifters. This was just another battle, but now her home was the battlefield. "The Harbingers think they're testing us," Kate said, a plan forming in her mind. "But they don't know humans very well, do they?" "What do you mean?" Vex asked. "We don't just survive," Kate said, pulling out her old military maps. "We fight back, and we're about to give them a test of their own." Outside, the desert continued to transform under the alien sun. But for the first time since the lights appeared, Kate felt something besides fear. She felt hope. 3 days passed, and the desert became something from another world. The heat rose to levels Kate had never experienced before. Her house thermometer broke after reaching 130 degrees. The sand turned a strange purple color in some areas, and the crystal formations grew taller, some now reaching 10 feet high. Kate's military training helped her adapt, but it wasn't enough. Her water supply was running low, and the well behind her house had dried up. The plants around her home had all died, leaving nothing but dry, cracked earth. "We can't stay here much longer," Kate said as she and Vex sat in her kitchen. The power had gone out the day before, and the house was like an oven. "We need to find water." Vex's skin had turned a pale blue, which Kate now recognized as a sign of stress. "The Harbingers want you to leave, to face the full test of the transformed desert. Then we'll have to do what they want," Kate said, packing her remaining supplies. "For now." They left at dusk when the heat was slightly less brutal. Kate wore her old desert camouflage uniform, with a scarf wrapped around her face. Vex seemed less affected by the heat, but he moved slowly due to his injured leg. "There," Vex said, pointing to a tall crystal formation about a mile away. "Where crystals grow this tall, there might be water underneath." Kate was doubtful, but had no better ideas. They walked carefully, avoiding the purple sand patches that Vex warned might be poisonous to humans. As they approached the crystals, Kate noticed something moving near their base. She raised her pistol, but lowered it when she saw it was a person, a young man with a sunburned face. "Stay back," he shouted when he saw them. His eyes widened at the sight of Vex. "What is that thing?" "He's with me," Kate said firmly. "My name is Major Kate Wilson, Earth Defense Force. Are you alone?" The man hesitated, then nodded. "I'm Tom. I was camping in the desert when everything changed. Been hiding here for days." "He's not alone," Vex said quietly. From behind the crystals, 3 more people emerged cautiously. A woman in hiking clothes, an older man in work overalls, and a teenage girl. "We found each other yesterday," Tom explained. "None of our phones work. We can't get past some kind of invisible wall." He looked at Vex again. "Is he like the things in the sky?" "No," Kate said. "He's helping me. The things changing our desert are called harbingers. They're testing us." "Testing us for what?" the woman asked. "To see if we can survive," Kate replied. "And I plan to make sure we do." Vex moved to the base of the crystal formation and placed his 4 hands against it. The crystal began to glow softly. "There is water below," he confirmed, "about 10 feet down." The next few hours were spent digging. Kate used a small shovel from her pack, while Tom and the others used their hands and whatever tools they had. By nightfall, they had reached damp sand, and by midnight, a small pool of water had formed. "It tastes strange," the teenage girl said after taking a sip, "but it's not bad." "The minerals from the crystals are in it," Vex explained. "They won't harm you." That night, they made camp around the water hole. Kate learned that the woman was named Lisa, the older man was Ben, and the teenage girl was Amy. All had been caught in the testing zone by chance. Wrong place, wrong time. "So what's the plan, Major?" Tom asked as they sat around a small fire. "How do we get out of this?" Before Kate could answer, a loud humming filled the air. They looked up to see a large drone, different from the others, hovering directly above them. A beam of light shot down, scanning each of them one by one. When it reached Vex, it turned red. "Non-native species detected," said a mechanical voice from the drone. "Unauthorized assistance to test subjects. Increasing difficulty level." The drone flew away quickly. Moments later, the ground began to shake. "What's happening?" Lisa cried, holding onto Amy. "They're changing the rules," Kate said grimly. "Because of Vex." As if in response to her words, the crystals around them began to grow rapidly, shooting upward and spreading outward. The water hole they had dug slowly turned a bright green color. "The water," Ben shouted. "It's changing." Vex's skin turned almost black with fear. "The real test begins now." Dawn revealed a desert even more alien than before. The crystals had formed a maze-like structure around their camp. The water hole was now a bubbling green pool that gave off a strange smell. In the distance, dark clouds gathered, but they didn't look like rain clouds. They moved too quickly and in perfect circular patterns. "Those are hunter drones," Vex said, pointing to the clouds. "Thousands of them. They'll search the entire testing zone." "Looking for us?" Lisa asked, her voice shaking. "Looking for anyone who's survived this long," Kate replied. "We need weapons." Ben emptied his pockets. "I have a pocket knife and some duct tape. Not much use against flying robots." Kate looked at the crystals surrounding them. "These crystals, Vex, what are they made of?" "Minerals from the Harbinger homeworld," Vex explained. "They conduct energy and can store it." A plan formed in Kate's mind. "Tom, help me break off some of these smaller crystals. Ben, I need that duct tape and knife." For the next hour, Kate taught them how to make simple weapons. She showed them how to wrap the crystal shards in metal from her canteen and Ben's tools, creating crude but effective spears. "Aim for the center of the drones," she instructed. That's where their power source is. They practiced throwing their crystal spears at rocks until everyone could hit a target. Even Amy, the youngest, learned quickly. Now we need to capture one intact, Kate said, looking at the approaching cloud of drones. I need to know how they communicate. That's too dangerous, Tom protested. Without information, we can't fight back, Kate replied firmly. Vex and I will try to capture one. The rest of you hide in that crystal formation. It should block their scanners. When the first drone appeared, it was smaller than Kate expected, about the size of her hand. It hovered at eye level, its blue light scanning the ground. Kate nodded to Vex, who used his ability to change color to blend perfectly with the crystals. Kate stood in the open, letting the drone see her. As it approached, Vex moved with surprising speed, grabbing the drone with all four hands. The drone buzzed angrily, but Vex held tight as Kate wrapped it in her jacket. Quick, before it sends a distress signal, Vex said. Kate used wire from her pack to disconnect the drone's communication system. It went limp in her hands. Let me see, Ben said, reaching for the drone. In his previous life, he had been a mechanic. I might be able to make sense of this. While Ben worked on the drone, Kate and Tom scouted the area. The alien landscape had one advantage. The crystal formations provided good cover. They found 3 more people hiding in a small cave, a middle-aged couple and their adult son. They brought them back to the camp. By evening, Ben had figured out how to access the drone's data. They're setting up stations around the desert, he explained, pointing to a map he had drawn in the sand. These stations control the terraforming, the changes to our desert. If we destroy one, would it slow the changes? Kate asked. Maybe even reverse them in this area, Ben said. But we'd need to get past hundreds of drones. Kate looked at the group gathered around her, 9 humans and 1 alien, armed with nothing but crystal spears and desperation. It wasn't a military unit, but it was all she had. Listen up, she said. I was trained to fight in space, but the same rules apply here. We move as a team. We stay low. We hit fast, and then we disappear. She used a stick to draw a plan in the sand. The closest station is here, about 3 miles south. We attack at night when the heat sensors on the drones won't work as well. What if we fail? Lisa asked. Then we die, Kate said honestly. But if we do nothing, we die anyway, as this desert becomes something no human can survive in. Vex's skin turned a deep gold color, which Kate had learned meant determination. My people failed because we tried to hide. Your plan to fight back, it is better. That night, 10 figures moved silently through the crystal forest that had once been the Arizona desert. The hunter drones buzzed overhead, their lights sweeping the ground, but Kate led her team through blind spots she had identified. The terraforming station glowed green in the darkness. It was a tall tower made of the same material as the crystals, pulsing with energy that flowed into the ground. Now or never, Kate whispered, raising her crystal spear. Her team raised theirs in response, faces set with determination. Against impossible odds, in an alien desert, humanity prepared to fight back. The attack on the terraforming station went better than Kate had dared to hope. Their crystal spears disrupted the station's energy field, and Ben figured out how to reverse its power flow. The green tower shuddered, then collapsed in a shower of light. The ground around it slowly began to return to normal desert sand. But their victory came at a cost. 2 of their group, the middle-aged couple, were caught by hunter drones and taken away. No one knew what happened to them. 3 days after the attack, Kate sat with Vex on a rock outcropping, watching the area around their camp. The air was cooler now, and some of the crystal formations had stopped growing. We hurt them, Kate said, but it's not enough. Vex's skin rippled with blue and gold patterns. He seemed nervous. There is something I have not told you, he finally said, about the Harbingers. Kate turned to face him. What is it? They don't want to destroy humanity, Vex explained. They want allies. Allies? Kate couldn't believe it. They're killing people. They see death as necessary. A filter to find the strongest, Vex said. My people refuse to be tested. That's why they destroyed us. But species that pass their tests become part of their alliance. Kate thought about this. So this whole thing, changing our desert, hunting us, it's a job interview. In a way, Vex replied. A very cruel one. But the Harbingers have faced enemies that nearly destroy them. They believe only the strongest species deserve to survive. Kate stood up, anger rising in her. They don't get to decide that for us. No, Vex agreed. But there is more. The fact that you have helped me. An alien is important to them. They watch how species treat other life forms. If you only saved your own kind, they would see less value in humans. Kate remembered how she had saved Vex without thinking. It wasn't for any test. It was just the right thing to do. Where do the Harbingers control all this from? She asked. There must be a main base. Vex hesitated, then pointed to the ground. Below, they always build their command centers underground, protected from attack. Kate's mind raced with this new information. If they could find the underground base, they might be able to communicate directly with the Harbingers, not as test subjects, but as equals. When they returned to camp, Kate shared what she had learned. The group had mixed reactions. So we're being judged, Tom asked angrily. Who are they to judge us? A species that's been around a lot longer than humans, Ben said thoughtfully. I don't agree with their methods, but I understand the concept. Lisa, who had become the group's medical expert using Kate's first aid kit, shook her head. It doesn't matter why they're doing it. We need to stop them before more people die. Amy, the teenager, had been quiet since the attack. Now she spoke up. If they're testing how we treat other species, then helping Vex is like extra credit, right? Kate smiled at the simple but accurate description. Exactly, and it gives me an idea. That night, Kate laid out her most daring plan yet. Using the captured drone, Ben had managed to map unusual energy readings below the desert surface, about 5 miles from their camp. That's their command center, Kate explained, drawing in the sand. It won't be easy to reach. The entrance will be heavily guarded. So how do we get in? Tom asked. Kate looked at Vex. We don't fight our way in. We let them take us. Lisa gasped. That's suicide. Not if they think we're valuable, Kate replied. Vex says they value cooperation between species, so we show them what humans and Vex can accomplish together. The plan was risky, but no one had better ideas. They spent the next day preparing, gathering their crystal weapons, and what little supplies remained. As dawn broke on the 6th day of the test, Kate stood with Vex and the others at the edge of a massive crystal formation that had not been there the day before. This is it, Kate said. The entrance to their base is under there. Hunter drones circled overhead, more than they had ever seen before. It was as if the Harbingers knew they were coming. Are you sure about this? Ben asked quietly. Kate looked at the strange group around her, humans from different backgrounds who had become a team, and Vex, an alien who had become a friend. No, she admitted, but I'm sure about us. If the Harbingers want to see what humans are capable of, then let's show them. They stepped into the open, weapons lowered, with Vex in the center of their group. The drones immediately surrounded them, but did not attack. The crystal formation before them began to split open, revealing a dark passage leading underground. This is it, Kate said. Time to meet our judges. The passage led deep under the desert. Kate led the way, with Vex close behind her. The walls glowed with the same blue light as the drones, lighting their path. No one spoke as they descended. After what felt like hours, the narrow tunnel opened into a vast chamber. The ceiling was so high they couldn't see it, and crystal formations larger than buildings rose from the floor. In the center stood a structure unlike anything Kate had ever seen, a perfect sphere that seemed to float above the ground, made of a material that shifted colors like Vex's skin. "The Harbinger Command Center," Vex whispered. His forehands trembled slightly. Drones surrounded them, herding the group toward the sphere. A doorway appeared in its side, opening like an eye. Inside, the air felt different, cooler and somehow thicker. The walls pulsed with light that followed them as they moved. Kate kept her team close, her hand never far from her crystal spear. They entered a circular room where the floor seemed to be made of liquid glass. Below it, Kate could see images of desert landscapes, not just their testing zone, but others around the world. Hundreds of them, each filled with strange new environments and struggling humans. "They're testing all over Earth," Tom said in horror. Before Kate could respond, the air in the center of the room began to shimmer. A figure took shape, tall and slender with 6 limbs and a head that was both insect-like and strangely beautiful. Its body glowed with internal light that shifted between deep purple and gold. "I am Nexer, commander of the 13th Harbinger Fleet," a voice said in their minds. "You have reached the end of your test." Kate stepped forward. "We didn't agree to be tested." The being's head tilted slightly. "Agreement is not required. Survival is the only consent that matters." "That's not how humans work," Kate replied firmly. "We don't just survive. We choose how to live." Nexer moved closer, studying her. "You are Kate Wilson. You fought the drifters at Europa. You showed unusual tactical abilities. And you decided that made me worth testing." Kate asked. "Worth evaluating," Nexer corrected. "Your species fought well against our scouts, better than most. But fighting skill alone is not enough for alliance. So you torture us to see if we're worthy." Tom interrupted angrily. Nexer turned toward him. "We transform environments to test adaptation. Those who cannot adapt perish. Those who can become stronger. This is the way of all life." Kate stepped between them. "You're wrong. The strength of humanity isn't just in how we survive harsh conditions. It's in how we help each other survive." She gestured to the group around her. "Look at us. We were strangers before your test. Now we're a team. And not just humans. We accepted Vex too." Vex moved to stand beside Kate, his skin glowing with confidence Kate had never seen before. "She saved me," Vex said, "when I was nothing to her but an alien, when helping me put her at greater risk in your test." Nexer seemed to consider this. The lights in the room flickered. "Show me," Nexer said finally. "Show me this human strength." The floor beneath them changed to show images from the past week. Kate saving Vex from the drones, the group digging for water, making weapons together, protecting each other during the attack on the station. "You could have abandoned the weak," Nexer observed. "You would have had a better chance alone, Major Wilson. Your military training was superior." "That's not who we are," Kate replied. "Humans don't measure strength by who we leave behind. We measure it by who we bring with us." Nexer was silent for a long moment. Then the beam moved to a crystal console and placed a limb upon it. "In 10,000 cycles, we have tested 53,000 species," Nexer said. "Less than 100 have passed. Most show only self-preservation." The images on the floor changed again, showing the desert outside returning to normal. The purple sand faded back to brown, and the crystal formations began to shrink. "You have shown unusual qualities," Nexer continued. "Compassion without weakness, unity without conformity, resistance without hatred." Kate felt hope rising in her chest. "Does that mean the test is over?" "Yes," Nexer replied. "Your desert will be restored. Your people will be released." "And what about Earth?" Lisa asked. "Will you leave us alone?" Nexer's light pulsed slowly. "We will withdraw our testing zones, but we will return, not as testers, but as visitors. Your world has earned the right to choose alliance rather than have it forced upon you." Kate could hardly believe what she was hearing. "You're giving us a choice." "The greatest strength is knowing when force is unnecessary," Nexer said. "You have taught us this. Perhaps we have more to learn from humans than we expected." As they left the underground base, Kate saw the desert changing around them. The alien plants withered, and the normal desert plants began to grow again. The sky was clearing, the strange darkness fading to reveal blue sky. "What happens now?" Amy asked as they walked back toward where Kate's house had been. Kate looked at Vex, who would be the first friendly alien ambassador to Earth. Then she looked at her new friends, bound together by an experience no one else would ever fully understand. "Now," Kate said with a smile, "we build something better than before." In the distance, a military helicopter appeared, searching for survivors. Earth was reclaiming its desert, and Kate Wilson, who had once believed Earth was safe, now knew the truth. Safety wasn't about walls or weapons. It was about facing the unknown together.